What to do, YouTube? Since the Miami Dolphins are already starting to cut players, I just felt that it might have been convenient to go ahead and put out this prediction 53-man Miami Dolphins roster before the deadline, which is going to be September 5th at 4 p.m. Most definitely we're going to be making a video for that, so most definitely look out for that. But before we get into the final 53 prediction, let's go ahead and go over a couple players that they already decided to cut, which is defensive end Avery Moss, safety Jeremiah Denson, cornerback DeAndre Nichols, and receiver Ricardo Lewis, which I'm expecting him to be back sometime during the regular season because he always comes back, and wide receiver Chester Rogers. So again, they already making cuts. Like I said, the deadline is going to be September 5th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I cannot wait for that actual day because I cannot wait to see what we actually do on the offensive line. So Miami Dolphins final 53-man roster prediction. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, I'm going to bring this up for y'all. I broke this down into two different sections. We got the offense and the defense. Obviously, at the quarterback position, we have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Rosen, and Tua Tagovailoa. This is not a depth chart. This is just the roster. So don't feel like I'm playing favorites here while leaving Tua on the bottom of the screen. But obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick is your automatic starter. Based off the reports out of training camp, players were just a little bit out of sync with Ryan Fitzpatrick's absence the first go around. So we're just going to go automatically hand Ryan Fitzpatrick the keys to this car. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the guy. Josh Rosen, he's the backup. Tua is the backup. Now, here's where things get a little bit tricky because I wanted to keep 4 running backs on the roster. Obviously, it's going to be Jordan Howard, Mike Breida. I kept Myles Gaskin on there just so the fact that I've heard a little bit more about Myles Gaskin than Patrick Laird in the reports during training camp. And I honestly believe that they're going to keep Chandler Cox on the roster just because I feel like they're going to try to run out of the strong eye or the I formation set to run the football. So I kept him on the roster. So that's 4 running backs, including Chandler Cox. Yes, I know he's a fullback, but he's going to be considered a running back in this particular situation. Now, if I were to do that differently, I was going to end up, if we want to keep another running back on the roster than Patrick Laird, yes, we would keep him on the roster. But then you wouldn't get Adam Shaheen. But I've been hearing a lot of good things about Adam Shaheen during the course of training camp. So I was like, all right, we got to keep at least 3 tight ends on the roster. And so Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, and Matt Shaheen. Maybe in a depth chart standpoint, I'll probably say Adam Shaheen's going to be that second tight end because I feel like from what I read, Adam Shaheen seems like the better receiver than Durham Smythe in the passing game. So obviously, we ended up trading for Adam Shaheen from the Chicago Bears for a bag of chips. Hopefully, he could produce for us. At the wide receiver position, because I know it's going to get a lot of controversy here with considering the wide receiver position. Devontae Parker, obviously, he could pick up where he left off in the 2019 season. That would be lovely. Preston Williams coming off that knee injury. Based off of reports in training camp, he's looking like he's ready to take that next step in year 2. Jakeem Grant, considering the fact Albert Wilson and Allen Hurns opted out of the 2020 season, is by default Jakeem Grant is going to get that slot receiver role. Isaiah Ford, considering you hear constant good things about Isaiah Ford, making contested catches, he's going to be receiver number 4. And Malcolm Perry, the toolbox, is going to get that 5th wide receiver spot. It was hard for me because obviously Chester Rogers got cut. Ricardo Lewis got cut. And then, of course, EM wants to make this run for Mac Hollins making the roster, but I just do not see it. Keeping more than 5 wide receivers on the roster, it was extremely hard for me to do. So we're just going to keep it at 5. Obviously, I like my boy Kirk Merritt, but 9 times out of 10, I strongly feel he's going to be able to end up on the practice squad. So look out for that practice squad video sometime later this week. So offensive line. I strongly believe this team's success on offense is going to start up front in the offensive line. I ended up keeping 10 offensive linemen on the roster, considering the fact that the Miami Dolphins have had a consistent issue over the years of keeping healthy offensive linemen, and we gotta keep 10. We just have to keep 10. It's a simple fact. We just have to keep 10. So Austin Jackson, left tackle. I already gave you my prediction video. Well, prediction of who the starting offensive line is going to be. Some agreed, some disagreed. Some are like, I just want to get rid of the whole 2019 starting offensive line from 2019 and just come in with all brand new players. But Eric Flowers, left tackle. Austin Jackson, left tackle. Eric Flowers, left guard. Ted Karras, center. Solomon Kinley, who surprised me based off of what I'm hearing. 9 times out of 10 is going to end up being the starting right guard. Jesse Davis, it's iffy for me between Jesse Davis and Robert Hunt, who's going to be the starting right tackle. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Jesse Davis. There you go, Rhinos. I did you a solid there. I'm going to go ahead and put Jesse Davis in there for now, but I do not expect him to be the starting right tackle during the course of all 16 games of the season. And obviously, we're going to end up keeping Michael Dieter on the roster. Hopefully, he could take over that center role somewhere later down the road, but we're going to keep him on the roster. Julian Davenport, keep him on the roster as a backup. And I kept both Danny Isidore and Shaq Calhoun on the roster because, like I said, you can never have too many offensive linemen, especially for the Miami Dolphins, considering the fact that we considerably keep on getting injured on the offensive line, and we just had to have some type of stability there. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the defensive side of the football. Look, on the defensive line, we're going to end up having Shaq Lawson, Emmanuel Ogbah, Christian Wilkins, Devon Godchild, Raekwon Davis, Zach Seitler. We're going to end up keeping the undrafted free agent Benito Jones and Jason Strowbridge. And for that ignorant person who's going to be in the comment section saying that Shaq Lawson is a linebacker, look, it doesn't freaking matter, okay? He's going to end up being pass rushing the quarterback any damn way. So just run with it, all right? Just run with it. But linebacker position. Since we let me go back to the defensive line real fast. I end up skipping a part. So the way this is going to end up working, 9 times out of 10. And in the 3-4 base formation, it's probably most likely going to be Devon Godchild, Raekwon Davis, and Christian Wilkins. And then probably in the 4-3 type scheme, it's going to be Emmanuel Ogbah on the outside or Shaq Lawson on the outside. But then it really depends. Let's go ahead and move on to the linebacker position because I feel like Kyle Van Noy is going to play a big factor in how them other packages are going to work. But at the linebacker position, Landon Roberts, Jerome Baker, Kyle Van Noy, Andrew Van Ginkel, Camus Grugier-Hill, Sam McGravin, and Trent Harris. Now, obviously, we ended up trading Raekwon McMillan to the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm still waiting on my phone call. You know exactly who I'm talking about. So Landon Roberts is going to end up going into that starting middle linebacker position. I strongly, because of the fact he's the more bulkier linebacker on the team. So, and I just feel like he fills that Raekwon McMillan role perfectly. And obviously Jerome Baker is going to be that second middle linebacker. Now, again, Andrew Van Ginkel, he's going to probably be a backup to Kyle Van Noy in that joker type of linebacker position. But when it comes down to that nickel and dime and dollar and quarter formation, it's going to be interesting to see what they actually do with Kyle Van Noy and Emmanuel Ogbah. 9 times out of 10, I'm thinking Emmanuel Ogbah is going to end up being a defensive tackle in the nickel package and the dime, and then Kyle Van Noy is going to end up being on the outside rushing. But I'm excited to see what they actually do with it. I'm extremely excited to see what they actually do with it. At the defensive back position, obviously Byron Jones is going to be the starter. Xavier Howard is going to be the star. But we have Noah Benogany. Nick Needham, Jamal Perry. And then at the safety position, we have Bobby McCain, Eric Rowe, Kavon Frazier, Brandon Jones, and Clayton Fejedelem. Now getting back to the cornerback position, because I know there's going to be who's going to be the starting nickel. I'm hearing some good things about Noah Mbenagadi in the nickel at the nickel spot. I'm hearing some good things about Jamal Perry at the nickel spot, and obviously there's Nick Needham. But in my sole prediction, I strongly believe Noah Mbenagadi is going to end up being the slot corner for the Miami Dolphins for 2020, unless these other two top corners get knock on wood, banged up, and he ends up having to move out to the outside corner position. But 9 times out of 10, I think Noah Mbenagadi is going to end up being that starting slot corner for the Miami Dolphins. Now, put the microscope on the safety spot. When you look at Bobby McCain, Eric Rowe, Kavon Frazier, Brandon Jones, and Clayton Fejedelem, obviously Bobby McCain is going to be the starting free safety. Yes, I know. I was wrong. He actually ended up making the roster. It was an Omar Kelly interview that he did, and he's talked about how Bobby McCain stepped up as far as being a leader for the Miami Dolphins defense, the secondary. Also, when I was listening to him during his interview, he sounds like a leader. Like Bobby McCain sounds like a leader. And I believe there was something else that I saw on Twitter where he was playing through a shoulder injury in 2019. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to continue the same sad song, is that the fact that I just think that he's extremely oversized. He needs to pick up at least, 10, 15 pounds for him to look like a legitimate free safety. But we'll see what happens in 2020. Eric Rowe, there's been some reports about him struggling being the starting strong safety. I like Kavon Frazier and Brandon Jones. If I were to pick one at this particular point, I'm going to go ahead and roll with Kavon Frazier because he got the veteran experience. Brandon Jones doesn't exactly have the experience just yet. And obviously Clayton Fejedelem is going to be that last safety spot, but he's going to most likely going to be a special teams player. At the special teams spot, obviously you have Jason Sanders as the kicker, and then you have Matt Hawk as the punter, and Blake Ferguson as the long snapper. Now, which reminds me, since we're on the topic of special teamers, somebody done told me that Matt Cole is going to make this roster. Now, obviously I didn't do the practice squad yet. As far as the active roster, there is no Matt Cole going to be on this roster. And I'm saying it again, and I'm putting my foot down on it, and my feet are on the table about it. Matt Cole is not going to make the roster. And I've been saying this from the jump, right? Considering the fact we are in 2020, COVID-19 is playing a big factor in this season. You're not going to see a lot of good rookie play this year, in my honest opinion. So when you get an undrafted free agent like a Kirk Merritt or Matt Cole, those guys, I just do not see them being productive this year. I know Matt Cole was only going to be a gunner, but there's a lot of other players on this roster, and I strongly believe coaches are going to rely heavily on the veterans than to rely on an undrafted free agent. Yes, I know the undrafted free agent guys, they are the future. But they got a job to do here. We still got to go out and win games. So we got to rely on the veterans because the veterans already been there. But I said my piece. But again, there you go. That is your final 53-man roster prediction for the Miami Dolphins. Let me know what you guys think. You know what it is. If you enjoy the content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. This is GreatOne DeVore. I'm up out of here.